Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sasha Forson. I'm the Assistant Director of Nebraska, and I am excited to welcome you all today to our webinar, Building Your Support Cast, Relationships for Career Success and Advancement. Because even if we really want to and don't want to ask for help, we really can't do it alone. Today's event is recorded and is hosted by Nebraska Women in STEM, an initiative between Nebraska Cures and Nebraska. So at Nebraska Women in STEM, we are driven by a mission to reduce barriers for women across STEM careers and to create an environment in the state where women can thrive in their chosen careers. Part of that mission is bringing conversations to you like this one today. I personally, and I'm sure you are all too, really excited to learn more about how we can build a better support system, both personally and professionally. I'll now pass things off to my Nebraska Women in STEM colleague, Executive Director of Nebraska Cures, Amanda McGill Johnson.
Thank you, Sasha. And we are so super excited for our presenter today, Dr. Katie Brandert. She spoke with us at our very first Nebraska Women in STEM conference and gave a similar presentation. But since our network has grown so much over the last couple of years, we've invited her back. Dr. Brandert is the Assistant Dean for Public Health Practice and Assistant Professor of Health Promotion at the UNMC College of Public Health. She leads a team that provides education, training, and technical assistance to the public health workforce in the region. She's also a consultant, faculty member, and executive coach for multiple leadership development programs for health and healthcare leaders regionally and nationally. Katie, take it from there.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. I'm excited to be here with you. When I got to speak at the Women in STEM conference a couple of years ago, it was a total highlight of my year. It was something I talked about for so long. It was amazing to be in a room of such incredible, talented, and excited women who are looking to advance their careers, who are looking to reach success, however they define that in life. And it was a really, really fun time. And if you were present at that presentation, there's a chance that I'm going to have some repeat jokes, and I'm going to need you to laugh again. Anyways, if you could do that for me. And I know you're all off camera and you can continue to be off camera, eat your lunch, do the things you need to do. But you have a little reactions button. So anytime you think I want you to think I'm funny, just hit that reaction button. Even if you don't think so, just anytime you think I might want you to think I'm funny. Oh, I love it. People are practicing. Thank you. That was a time that I wanted you to think I was funny. So great. Fantastic. Okay. I am going to share my screen now with my presentation. And as Sasha said, this is a conversation about how you can build a group of people that will support you in moving through your careers, in advancing up a ladder, in staying on the same rung you're at, but with great success, and hopefully help you think the other way around too, like how are you supporting other women in STEM as they advance in their careers? So it's got a little a twofer in there, if you will. But the goal of today is to get you to start thinking about who are the people I need to surround myself with to have the career I want to have. So we are talking about a concept called a personal board of directors. And my guess is that some of you have in the past served on a board of directors, or maybe you've had a friend serve on a board of directors and they've talked about it, or maybe you've worked for an organization that has a board of directors. So what is a personal board of directors? Well, we can start thinking about that concept by considering what is an organization's board of directors? What are the kinds of things that a board of directors does for an organization? Well, they provide vision. They help to develop strategy. They let the organization know when they're on course and when they're off course. They're an accountability buddy for the organization. They are a group of people who care about whether that organization thrives. And you can think about a personal board of directors in the exact same way, only it's about you and your career. In this case, you are the organization that that board of directors cares about. So I like to think about you and your careers looking like this. This woman is a diva. She is amazing. She is rocking it. She's got her look together. She is in her element. In this case, her element is singing at a microphone. That might not be your element, but let's just pretend for a moment that this is representative of you in your best space in your career. This woman is amazing, and her talent absolutely got her on this stage and at that microphone. But it wasn't her talent alone, even though that's what's on fire right now, and even though that's what's shining right now, it wasn't her talent alone that got her there. Likely, she had a group of people working behind her, making her look good, doing the right choreography, helping her, helping to accentuate the best parts of her songs, showing off her best skills, being in the background while lifting her up in the front of that stage, adding to her music. This is, in some ways, representative of a personal board of directors. The group, maybe they're fully clothed. I don't know what they're wearing in your life for your personal board of directors, but the board of directors is like your supporting cast. In your career, let me go back to this woman here. My mouse is very finicky today. In your career, you are the lead. You are the lead singer. You are the lead actor or actress in your career. But no one gets to the front of the stage alone. And I would also posit that no one cares about your career more than you do. You are the only one, in fact, who cares about your career as much as you do. That doesn't mean that other people don't care about it, don't want you to be successful, don't depend on you having a great career, but no one cares about the path and the success the way that you do. And in order to have the kind of career and life that you want to have, you need these people who are behind you to help you get there. So let's talk about having a personal board of directors. And this slide is here to remind me to say to you that you got a packet of information, a PDF packet from Amanda, I believe, just a little while earlier this morning. So if you registered for the call anytime before like 10:30 a.m., then you received an email with a PDF. And the last page of that PDF looks exactly like this. And it is your personal cheat sheet for today's call. And while we're talking through each of the roles that might be played on your personal board of directors, you can pull up this sheet and be thinking about who does already play this role for you or who could play this role for you in your life around your career success and advancement. So I am talking slowly just for a moment to give you an opportunity to pull up that email, pull up that PDF document, and get to the last page. The other slides in that email are the slides that I'm going through when I talk about the different board of director roles. So another similarity between an organization's board of directors and a personal board of directors is that there are likely specific roles that you need to have filled. I was previously on a nonprofit board for about 6 years that had some specified roles they wanted to have as a member of the board of directors. So we needed an accountant on the board of directors, and we needed a lawyer on the board of directors, and we needed someone with an educational background. It was a nonprofit health organization. So we needed someone with a programmatic or educational background. There were different roles, different kinds of people with different kinds of life experience and expertise that we purposefully invited to be a member of that organization's board of directors in an effort to be a well-rounded body that could support every aspect of that organization's work. Personal board of directors is exactly the same. There are some specific roles that if I were giving you the advice of cultivating a group of people who care about your career, I would say you need people who fill these kinds of roles on your personal board of directors. So I'm going to talk through each of the roles. This is half of them on the screen right now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what kind of person you might put, what this role is really about, and what kind of person might fill it for you. And then there's going to be some time at the end of our conversation for you to get into some small groups through Zoom to have just quick discussion about what does your board look like now, okay? So be thinking about, as we go, utilizing that last page, who does or could play these roles for you. So I'm going to start with a really fun role and a really important role, and that's the cheerleader. The cheerleader is the person who champions you. They lift your spirits. They're motivating you. They're pumping you up. If you're an older person who watched a lot of Saturday Night Live in the 80s, then maybe you remember Hans and Franz, right? And Hans and Franz were here to pump you up, right? So thank you, Sasha. Yes, that's exactly what they did. So the cheerleader is your Hans and Franz, or maybe in today's world of memes, this is like that baby on the beach with the kind of raglan t-shirt. It's a white t-shirt with green sleeves, and he's doing like one of these, and you see him like in all the memes. He's a cheerleader for sure. This person is someone who supports your skill sets and choices. They say things to you like, you can do this. No, you have the skills to apply for that job. I've seen you in action. I know you can do it. I know you're going to rock that presentation today, Katie. They're the people who are there to pump you up. Everybody needs one of those, at least one of those. This might be one of the roles where you have multiple people who can do this for you. Okay, next role, the moral compass. The moral compass is a person who is reminding you of your core values. At the heart of who you are, at your very being, you have beliefs and values that guide you. They guide your life choices. They guide your career choices, or should, or could. And the moral compass is a person who helps serve as a light to you, shining all the time on those core values, those foundational beliefs that you hold. They help remind you of them. So maybe it's kind of a situation like, oh, my grandmother taught me, everything about who I am and how I want to be as a human, so maybe it's that kind of thing. Or maybe it's just, they have the same values I do. And I really like how they continually go back to them in their lives. And that reminds me to continually go back to my foundation. Who am I? And what is the kind of life that's important to me that I want to lead? The moral compass. Okay, the third is the confidant. Another 1980s, 90s TV reference here with the show Seinfeld. And there's a great episode, if you've never seen it, called The Vault. And it's a conversation about who can keep a secret the best, and they talk about, oh, I'm a vault, right? So you want a vault on your board of directors. You want someone who you can go to when you just need to vent. When you have some stuff you need to get out of your system or your brain, you have frustrations, you have happiness, whatever it is, you can't share it. There's something I need to tell everybody, but I can't tell you yet. whatever it is, good, bad, or otherwise, you need someone that you can talk to. And it's not just, when we think about, I teach a lot of leadership development skills, and one skill that is true across almost every other skill you learn to do is about listening. And most of us listen at level one on a day-to-day, everyday business. And level one listening is like, you're telling me a great story. And all I could think about is how, oh my God, when they put a period on the end of that sentence, I'm going to jump in with my great story about that exact same thing. That is level one listening. It's where I'm listening to you, but I got thoughts in my brain that I can't wait to share with you back. Level one listening. We all do it. We do it every day, most of the time. The confidant is not a level one listener for you. We need the confidant as someone who's at a level 2 or a level 3. Level 2 and 3 listening are bigger. They're listening to tone of voice. They're noticing your emotions. They're bringing in the environmental context around you. They're noticing your nonverbals. They're paying attention to all of it. And their focus isn't on, the story I'm going to tell you when I'm done. Their focus is on you. On understanding, listening to understand, on listening to give you feedback, on listening to give you space to be able to vent and talk about what's really happening for you. They're a place where you can share information that you can't share with very many people. And a place where when you really, really want to be heard, this is a person you can reach out to. That's the confidant. The critic. This is one of my favorite ones to talk about because this is often the one that surprises people the most when I talk about it. You want someone on your board of directors who isn't afraid to tell you the real feedback about how you're doing. Someone who is not going to suck up to you. Oftentimes, the critic and the cheerleader are not the same person. The cheerleader is someone who's like, you're awesome. Everything you do is gold. And the critic is like, let me tell you what I've observed. The critic, they tell you like it is. They challenge you. The truth is, you might not even like each other. That's actually not important for this role. You don't have to like the person who sits in your critic role. You do have to respect the person who sits in your critic role. And that's true from the other side too. Your critic, they don't have to like you, but they have to respect you enough that they care enough to tell you how things are going or to give you honest, truthful feedback. You know you have a critic on your board of directors when it's a little something like this. The truth is, Katie Brandert, get a lot of feedback from a lot of people because of the role I have in the university, because of the fact that I have an ex-husband. I get a lot of feedback from a lot of people. I don't listen to everyone's feedback, right? Like I take it in, but I don't necessarily, give it a grain of salt to everyone's feedback. But there are certain people in my life who, when they give me feedback, my ear perks up. Oh, okay, so that person said this. Now I'm listening. For me, those are the critics on your board of directors. The people who, when they give you feedback, your ears perk up. You have a different level of listening, if you will, to what they have to say, and a different level of trusting in it, and a different level of a desire to do something with that information. That's a good critic. You need those people on your board of directors because you need people who champion you and tell you you're awesome, but you also need people who give you real feedback. Real feedback. All right, that's the critic. The expert in your specialty. This one is named exactly like it is. I almost feel like saying the end, next role. But let me just say a little bit more about the expert in your specialty, other than the fact that they are an expert in your specialty. This is a person who, they're the go-to resource about your chosen career field. They know everything there is to know. They're like your personal Encyclopedia Britannica for what you need to know to do your job well. yeah, they know so much about the world you're in, and you have access to them for whatever you need. The person who knows how to do the thing. The title on this one is a little shaky. It's a little shaky. This is the person who knows how to do fill in the blank. This is your friend or your colleague who, when some random thing comes up, they're the person who you think, you know, who always knows how to do this stuff? Fill in the blank. In my case, it's my friend Brenda. Brenda, and I'm not going to give her last name because people try to steal Brenda from me for their personal board of directors. And Brenda is my personal board of directors member, and I'm not going to share her. So I'm only giving first names in this example. So Brenda is my, oh, I see the laughter. Thanks for laughing at me. Brenda is my person who knows how to do the thing. So let me just give you one example. And I shared this example when I spoke at the Women in STEM conference, and it continues to hold true to this day. So I finished my PhD a couple of years ago. And as my gift to myself for completing this awesome task of a dissertation, I told myself that I could go get my colors done. If you haven't had your colors done, then you don't know the miracle of shopping after you've had your colors done. I don't particularly like clothes shopping, but I do now because I have some information that helps me do it more financially sound and with more success. So getting your colors done is expensive and pretty bougie, but totally worth it. That's typically what I tell people. So I decided I want to get my colors done. I'd heard about this whole thing from a few different friends, including my friend Brenda, the person who knows how to do the thing. So when I finished my dissertation, I went to Brenda and I said, I've done it. I've completed. I've got the check mark. I get to go get my colors done. And it didn't happen exactly like this, but this is what it felt like to me. Within 4 hours, I had a text message thread with everything that I needed to know about getting my colors done. All I had said was, hey, I think I'm ready. Who should I go to? My text string included nothing less than and more than the names of 3 different people in the Omaha area who could do that, their phone numbers, their emails, their websites. Additionally, she gave me her opinion on which one of those 3 she thought I should go to. Then it had the site, and it had the color, whatever platform, the framework listed, and her opinion about which color family I was going to belong to. By the way, I'm a sultry winter. Perfect title. I love it. Okay, so she had guessed that I was going to be a winter, and it had a list of 10 different Instagram accounts that once I learned that I was in fact a winter from my color analysis person, that I was going to want to follow, because those particular House of Color people were also my season, and I was going to want to see how they styled themselves. I tell you, I continue to get information from Brenda about my color analysis on a weekly basis, and I love it so much. And this is one example. It is not work related, but it is my favorite example of how Brenda is my person who knows how to do the thing. It doesn't matter what I go to her with. She and I also work together. And she also does this kind of information download for me with work related stuff. There's a project going on in my office right now where we're thinking about some onboarding training. Brenda is the, oh, I can't tell you what she does because you'll try to steal her. Brenda does work that is adjacent to the kind of work we want to do. And so my team had called in Brenda, like, bring her in. Let's find out what she knows. She is a person who knows how to do the thing. Okay, I'm done bragging about my person who knows how to do the thing, Brenda, except that I want to say we all need one of these. We all need a person who we can just lean to, go to when we don't know how to do it. And we know that they do. That is an amazing, amazing gift. And if you already have one of these people on your list, cherish them. And if anybody wants to know about color analysis, I will send you Brenda's information. And Elizabeth, hilarious in the chat. Okay. Those are the first few roles of people on your personal board of directors. So I just want you just a moment here for a little self-reflection. Think of a time when someone played one of those roles that we just talked about for you. My guess is a presentation, by the way, is a perfect time for you to be in level 1 listening. So I'm hopeful that you were hanging out in level 1 thinking for yourself about who does this for me? What's a time that this happened for me? And I'm going to see if there's just one person in the audience who wants to come off mute and share an example of a time when a person played one of these roles for them and it was meaningful.
Sure, I can share an example.
Awesome. Thank you.
I recently presented out at Epic out in Verona on our Community Connect program, specifically our Community Connect Builder program that I run. And I was very nervous. I'd never really presented on that type of level. And I had multiple cheerleaders on my team just encouraging me, telling me everything was okay. They actually told me a little white lie that there'd be a small group, but I actually had the most attended session. I was in the largest presenter room. They already knew that, but they didn't tell me because they thought that I would, be even more nervous. But they cheerleaded me prior to going to present, cheerleaded for me after, and they still continue to cheerlead for me as I present at different platforms. So I've had a lot of cheerleaders in my life recently.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. It feels so good. It feels so good to know there's somebody, in the audience, whether that's figurative or literal, who's got your back, who's there,
Yeah.
like wanting you to succeed, right?
Absolutely.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that example. Okay. I'm going to talk about the remaining 5 roles here. So another role is the aspiration. The aspiration is the coolest person in the world to you. Like when it comes to your career advancement, like, oh my God, if only I could be that person. Okay. So for me, one of my aspirations is Brene Brown. Brene Brown is like, she is kick butt. Like when it comes to people who do research and then translate that into language that everyday people can understand and is applicable to like everyday life and talks about your emotional well-being and your mental well-being and your physical well-being, like she is a goddess to me. I love everything that Brene Brown does. For me, she is an aspiration. She is a person who, God, if I could just do half of what Brene Brown did, or make an impact on someone's life in a fourth of the way that Brene Brown does, right? So your aspiration is there's that person up there who you're like, that's who I'm reaching for. That's the kind of career I want to have. That's the kind of person I want to be. An example for you to follow. The peer. Okay, aside from the critic, the peer, I think, is the other juiciest role because it is hard to find. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, like, I have a lot of peers. That's not hard to find. True. Everyday colleagues, not hard to find. You have them in your workplace already. You have them in your book club. You have them in whatever on Women in STEM, right? You are all peers to each other as a part of this group. Lots and lots of peers and colleagues to choose from. But when I talk about a peer as a member of your personal board of directors, I mean something just a little bit deeper. So a peer is someone who is, in the same spot of life that you're in, trying to figure things out the way, and you're trying to figure things out. You've got similar things going, so when I was working on my PhD, I'm full-time employed. I've got little kids and I'm in school. And that was like a unique blend of things happening for me. And I had a good friend who was in a very similar place. And it was so nice to have someone to talk to. Okay, so a peer is someone who, that's all true. They're in the kind of the same spot of life you're in, working toward goals just like you are. But here's the unique aspect about the peer on your board of directors. It has to be someone who's you're not in competition with, who even if you're really, really good friends, or even if you're, the two people on the team at work, a peer has to be someone where there isn't competition between you. And you know that feeling. You have people you work with where like you love each other, but you're in competition for the next job, for the next role, for that project lead. And then you have people who you really, really like, and you don't feel that competition vibe. That's the kind of person you need as a peer on your board of directors. And here's why. While all of those types of colleagues are helpful and fun, they can be great cheerleaders, they can be aspirations, they can be our experts, and they can play other roles on our board. You need someone in this position who you don't feel that kind of underlying competition with, because you need things from them. You need them to tell you, oh, I saw this great job that you would be qualified for. You need to know that there's opportunity out there. You need to know that you can talk to them about how hard life is at this moment that you're both experiencing, without thinking that it's going to be used against you in the back of your mind. Or maybe they'll say something to the supervisor that tells them, oh, don't give that job to Katie. She's got too much on her plate right now, whatever the case may be. So you want to have someone in that role for whom there is great respect and great similarity, and not competition. I had two friends recently go up for the exact same job. These two women have worked together in different spaces on and off, and have also worked in separate spaces, and they went up for the same job with each other. They were a beautiful example of having a peer on your board of directors. They were totally cheering each other on this at the same time. Like at the same time they're applying for this job, they were saying to each other, this is a job that's perfect for you. And the truth is, it was a job that was perfect for either of them. The selection committee could not have gone wrong. They were the final two candidates, so one of them got the position. But it was a beautiful example to me about how you can be in tight relationship with someone who's in the same part of life that you're in and doing the same kinds of things you're doing, and not feel competition. And that's the kind of person you want in your board of directors. The people you're in competition with serve other roles. It can feel, for some people, it's very motivating to kind of have that little bit of spark of how do I do this well? How do I shine? So I'm not downgrading anybody who you do feel that kind of underlying competition with. I just mean to say there might be other roles for them to play. And it's nice to have someone for whom you don't have that feeling. Okay, the connector and the sponsor. I'm going to talk about the next two together for a moment, and then I'm going to separate them out. You will notice that you do not see the role mentor on my list of roles for a personal board of directors. And that's because I split that role out among several other things. A mentor can do so many things for you. I hope you have mentors. You absolutely need mentors in your life as you build your career. You also need an executive coach if your organization will cover one, or if you have the funds to support one, or if you can get together with friends and serve as each other's coach. That's fantastic. Those are roles that you absolutely need. For the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to split out the kinds of things that a mentor does. For the most part, a mentor does two main things for you when it comes to a mentor around your career. They give you advice. I'm going to talk about that person a little later. And they open the door to their network for you. Those are two of the main gifts of a mentor: advice and network. So I split these out, and sponsor, which I'm going to talk about. Okay. So what does a connector do? A connector is like that's a person who knows everyone in the space that you are in or want to be in. And it's like, oh, my house is your house. My network is your network. They love to make introductions and connections, and they're willing to do that for you. They're willing to open doors for you. You need that kind of person. I don't remember the statistic, but there's some humongous statistic about how people get jobs through relationships. That connector is important. If you are missing that role in your board, that's one to think about trying to fill. Because you get, especially if you're someone who's looking to make a move or a change, either inside your organization or outside or external to it, a connector and can help you find the right relationships to do that. Two more roles also kind of connected into this mentor space. One is the sponsor. Oh, there's so much research coming out about sponsors right now in the leadership world. That's what my degree is in leadership studies. And in that world, the idea of sponsorship is kind of exploding. A sponsor is different than a connector. A sponsor doesn't just say, hey, Amanda, I know someone who's interested in the kind of work you do. Can I send you a joint email? But a sponsor instead is someone who calls Amanda and says, Amanda, you have a job opening and I have the person for you. A sponsor is a person who puts your name in the hat for the promotion, says your name on the phone to the person doing the hiring, puts your name in as a nominee for the award. Whatever it is, it's someone who's willing to put their name on the line in order to put your name in. We all need sponsors. Women are, and again, I'm not going to be great with the statistics today, but I know they exist that say that we are too humble. We are too humble. We do not claim the skills and talents that we have. We don't self-nominate for awards the way that men do. So one thing I want to say is we should do more of that. We should be more self-promoting. We should brag about ourselves. We should talk about our skills and talents. But in lieu of that conversation today, I'm going to say we should find people to serve on our board of directors who will do that for us. We need someone in our lives who's willing to put their name on the line for our name and their time on the line for our name. It takes a lot of time to write a nomination for someone to receive an award. But the kind of person who's willing to do that for you is a good person to have in your corner. That's the sponsor. The last one is the one with the good advice. This one, it kind of speaks for itself. They have great advice and you want to listen to it. A lot of people believe they have great advice. And it probably is great advice for someone. It might not always be great advice for you. So for you, the person with the great advice is someone who you trust them. They give you great feedback. And when they give you advice, it resonates. It's like, oh, yeah, that I could do that myself. My mentor, a mentor of mine, Mary, you're going to see her picture on a slide and a couple of slides here. I remember going to her about a relationship issue I was having with an employee. This is 15 years ago now in a different position. And I remember talking to her about what to do with an employee who just wasn't engaged and motivated in the work anymore. And I had private conversations with a few different people about how to approach it. It was my first time as a manager handling someone who was disengaged and wasn't quite sure what to do. I didn't have as much life experience myself. Like I needed some advice. And I went to a handful of people, but I kept coming back to Mary's advice because it felt the most like me. It didn't feel the easiest. In fact, in some ways, it was the hardest thing to do. But it resonated the most with how I saw the kind of leader I wanted to be and the kind of supervisor or manager that I wanted to be. Mary was, for me, on my personal board of directors, the one with the good advice. I always went to her to ask for her opinion or how she had handled something in the past. So you want that kind of person on your board. Okay, taking a pause here. Having you think about a time when someone played one of these roles for you. We're not going to share out this time because we're going to go to some breakout rooms Amanda, this is rooms of like 5 and random.
Okay, I am going to do my best at this. I've never done it before, but I think we can do this.
If you make me a host, I can do it.
Okay.
Or co-host.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can figure it out too. I
Okay.
just gotta figure out I'll just do it. I think I can. It's pretty. So are we ready to go into those rooms?
In one moment, I'm going to give a little bit of, I'm going to give a little bit more.
Okay.
So I'm just, this is my, here's my personal board of directors list. These are the people for whom I reach out related to my career specifically to talk about what I need, to get advice, to cheerlead me, who give me honest feedback, even when I don't want it, that I'm willing to listen to. These are them. And if you know someone on my personal board of directors, they probably make a great person for you, except for Brenda. No one can have her. I'm going to go back to talking about my board of directors in a few minutes as a couple of examples for you. But for right now, what I'd like you to do is we're going to go to some small groups, and I'm going to put these questions in the box for you, or in the chat box for you. As soon as I can realize that I didn't have that up and ready, I'm going to put these in the chat box for you, these questions, and have you in your breakout rooms, just have some discussion. You know, what are some of your general observations about your list? Which roles do you have filled? And where could you identify someone pretty easily? Where do you have some gaps? And what the question I think might really be helpful for you all to talk about is, which roles do you lean on in your career most right now? Where are you really, which of these roles is something you really need right now? So we are going to send you off. You're just going to have about 10 minutes for the discussion. Let's do 8 minutes, Amanda. Let's do 8 minutes. Just enough to get your appetite wet to be thinking about this some more after the call today. I am going to make a leap that maybe some of your discussions were similar to other discussions that we've had in the past. And I'm going to share a few tips that often come out as questions from these breakouts. And one is, do I ask people to be on my board of directors? And the answer is maybe, probably some of them. You know, I did tweet at Brene Brown that she was on my board of directors, true story, because I did a podcast and I tweeted out the podcast and I added her and I said, "You're on my board of directors, Brene," and she did not respond. So, you know, I'm just moving forward anyways. So, you know, you might not ask your aspiration, but you might ask the person that you're asking to be your connector, or the person who's in that sponsor role. If they don't know that you're hoping that they can help you with those kinds of things, they might not know to help. So even if it's like an informal, "Hey, I really appreciate that you connected me with so-and-so. And anytime you're willing to do that, just know I really appreciate it." It can be an informal, you know, nod to the kind of role they play, or it could be more formal. "I really appreciate your advice. And if it's okay, I'm going to come to you for it from time to time," right? I also want to say board members can be anyone, anywhere. So Brene lives in Texas. I haven't been to her house. I would likely be carried off by security, but she doesn't live here with me, right? I don't see her face to face. So board members don't need to be, and in fact, some of them, like your aspiration or your moral compass, might not be on this earth anymore, right? So it doesn't need, don't limit yourself, I guess, is what I want to say about that. Don't limit yourself to people who are in your physical location. And then the last thing I want to say is, sometimes people have a board of directors worksheet and it has the names of 3 people written over and over and over again, like 10 times each. And I get that. And now is your opportunity to use this to say, oh, I want to be more intentional about crafting a full group of people who can support me and not leaning solely on my husband or my partner or my wife or my kids or my one favorite coworker for carrying this heavy load. Each of these roles takes somebody's time and talent and energy to gift you with playing that role for you, with being in that space with you. So give your loved ones a break. They do many, many, many things for you in your life. Being all 10 roles on the board of directors might just put them over the edge. So I recommend that you don't have someone in more than 2 roles. It also gives you an opportunity to have greater diversity and thought on your board if you have more people playing more roles. And then my last little bit of advice on this is you are in control of this. Again, you are the lead actress in your career, the lead singer. You are the only one who cares about it as much as you do. So you also have to be the one to nurture and nourish a board of directors. You have to be the one to notice when someone isn't playing a role the way you need to, and I have a gap here, or when you really want to meet with the one who gives you the great advice because you need something. Like, you set the agenda, you're making the decisions, you're driving the process. And then the very, very last, 2 last things I want to share. Oh my goodness, my mouse. One is relationships might not work. You might think you have a great person as your confidant, and then you learn the hard way that it wasn't a great choice. They might fade over time. Someone who was really important in your life, or a mentor, they've retired and they're off and running and doing their own thing. You don't see them anymore. They might morph into something new. Someone who was a really great friend might become a really great peer, or someone who was a really great peer might just drop down to a book club friend, right? And so your relationships too might be needed for any length of time. There might be someone who's playing a role for you for 3 months, or it might be like Mary for me. She's been in my life for over 2 decades. So relationships in and out, ebb and flow. Give yourself permission to allow these changes to occur. Find the right people at that time for you. And the very, very, very last thing I want to say is, as you're thinking about who can serve on my board of directors, I also want you to flip that. Whose board of directors am I serving on? Who can I be a sponsor to? Who can I connect with my network? Who can I follow to the speech? Following Elizabeth's example, who can I cheerlead? Who can I tell just a little white lie so they show up at their best, right? In front of that big group of people and rock it, right? Who can I serve in these roles for? And if you're thinking to yourself, I'm too new in my career to do that, or I'm too old in my career to do that, you're wrong. Everyone has something. You're wrong. And that's all I'm going to say. No, everyone has something to offer in this space. Everyone has something to offer in this space. So I highly encourage you to put that good karma out into the world and serve in these roles for other people. And I guarantee you're going to have people flocking to serve in them for you. If you have any questions after today's presentation, if you want to check in on something, if you have a great story, I would love to hear. You're right, I would love to hear it. Here's my contact information. You can also learn a little bit more about developing a personal board of directors in the podcast series, A Different Kind of Leader, and this episode with the link. So I had a lot of fun today. Thank you, Amanda and Sasha, for inviting me, and I am complete.
Thank you, Katie, for joining us and giving us so much to think about. I've heard your presentation a couple of times, and I still have gaps I need to fill and work on. I need to find a Brenda for sure. I am in the chat, folks. I'm dropping in the survey to let us know how useful this presentation was to you. We're getting lots of great feedback in the chat as it is, but please do that. And as we mentioned, Katie was with us at our first conference and spoke. We just today opened up a call for presenters for our next conference, April 3rd and 4th. So if you are interested, in speaking, please fill out that form, or you can recruit people in your world from your board of directors, or maybe you serve on someone else's who could really value this opportunity to speak and just needs a little encouragement to apply. So consider that and who would be good for the conference. We also have a couple other upcoming events. We have a service and social this Thursday at the Nebraska Diaper Bank. You can find details on our website. And we have the Celebrating Women in STEM luncheon coming up on October 17th in Omaha. We're also bringing the second round of our public speaking workshop to Lincoln starting October 21st. All those details can be found on nebraskawomeninstem.com. Sasha, do you have any final thoughts?
Nope, just that I hope to see you all soon.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.